And I want to welcome you all to a little introduction to lifelong brain health through nourishment and movement. And I'm going to repeat something we said earlier between Sherry and I, and that is that we'd like to eliminate the words from your vocabulary that are called diet and exercise. This program is about nourishment and movement because diet and exercise are failure words. Most of us had a bad experience with one or the other or both. And we don't want to think that way because both of those things are typically things that you begin on a certain date and you end on a certain date and you search for a certain goal. And we are that at all. We're about making lifestyle choices that can truly impact not only your general life quality, but specifically it can impact the brain function and how it can help you be sharper and clearer, and how it can both prevent cognitive decline, maintain cognitive health, and make your cognitive health improved from what it is now. And things, nourishment and movement, come into play when we talk about those things. So what I would love to do is have Sherry start off with a little introduction about, we already introduced ourselves before we started recording, but have her talk a little bit about what the research was behind this nutrition plan that we're talking about today.
Sure, I'd love to do that, Denise. So we all know that, first of all, there's a connection between the brain and food. The brain requires fuel 24/7. So what we're feeding our brain, right? Every bite counts. What we put in our mouths actually is either going to be healthy for our brain or it's not going to be healthy for our brain, right? So our brain starts to decline. Research shows our brain starts to decline at age 20. And I bet all of us are over the age of 20 on this Zoom call tonight, right? So maybe not, but our brains are already starting to decline at age 20. So we have choices in our lives. And those are decisions that we make about how we're going to live our lives in terms of lifestyle habits. So if we're going to feed our brain, we need to put high quality foods that are filled with vitamins, nutrients, and antioxidants that are healthy for our brain. So there's research out there that says there are actually three, and I don't like the word diet because we want to try to get rid of it, but they are called diet. So there's the Mediterranean, there's the DASH, and then there's this MIND diet. And so we know that those three diets are good for our brain and lower our risk of cognitive decline. But one of those diets, called the MIND diet, is superior amongst all three of them because they are literally 10 brain healthy foods and 5 brain unhealthy foods. And what's interesting is we don't have to eliminate things that we love. You're like, oh no, here we go. We're going to talk about a diet and we got to get rid of this food and get rid of this food. But the thing about the MIND diet is something that we can do and we can still enjoy the things that we need, but we have to be conscious about our serving sizes. Portion control matters, right? And how often we're eating these foods in terms of whether we're eating them multiple times a day, once a day, or maybe once a week, or a few times a week. So the science shows that if we adhere to this MIND diet that we're going to be talking about in this class, if we adhere to it all the time, we have a 53% reduction in our risk of Alzheimer's disease. But who can do it all the time, right? So the good news is, even if we adhere to this diet part of the time, we're lowering our risk of Alzheimer's disease by 35%. So a third lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Why do we not want to start incorporate some of these healthy foods and limiting some of these other unhealthy foods in our diet, right? So it's not, so we need to look long-term. We're not talking about something that's short-term. We're talking about the way we want to live our lives. I had terminal cancer. I had 6 months to live, and I can tell you, diet and movement were the key to me being alive 14 years later. So we can all do this. It's not hard. We just take small steps. So I'm so excited to share this information. Oh, Judy, I think we need to mute. Let's see.
Yeah, if you're not muted, please mute because we can hear background talking.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. So I'm super excited because I'm a huge fan of eating healthy. I've been doing that long before I had terminal cancer, but I can't imagine what my recovery would have been like had I not already been doing some of those things. And now incorporating brain healthy foods into the diet is just a win-win for all of us. So I'm so excited, and I'm going to dig deep in this program about the foods and why they're healthy for the brain and how much we need to eat of them and how often, and the research that backs us up. So I'm super excited to share that education with you.
So one of the things I want to reiterate that Sherry said, because a few people came in a little bit after she said this, is this mind diet that is not a diet, but is in fact a way of eating for life. If you adhere to it and really are pretty conscious about doing it in your own life, it can literally lower your chance of getting Alzheimer's, dementia, cognitive decline by 53%. That's remarkable, remarkable, remarkable. Then she said, and if you are not fully adherent, if you're a real human that messes up sometimes or forgets sometimes or goes to a party or has some chocolate cake sometimes, then you will find out that even being moderately adherent to the mind diet can lower your chance of Alzheimer's, dementia, or cognitive decline by 35%. So I just have to tell you that this is remarkable. And this was not a research program that was done on 2 or 3 people or 20 or 30. This was done on thousands of people in Chicago and in New York City to find out how this diet compared to diets that we know are healthy, like the Mediterranean diet, like the DASH diet, which was developed originally for diabetes. And Sherry knows a lot about both of those diets. And again, I remind everybody, we're not saying diet as in this is a crash diet that you need to begin at a certain time and end, but it's a way of step by step. And that's how we've developed this program. It's going to be on June 21st. And June 21st is when we will be doing it from 6 p.m. Eastern time until 9 p.m. And the last half hour of that is actually question and answers, because we've learned from doing this twice before that people have a lot of questions at the end that apply to them. So we will also be taking your question and answers not only today, but when we do the workshop. The workshop's $149, which is an amazing deal for 3 hours of training. And that includes a 50-page booklet that Sherry and I have put together that gives you all the information you need to know to be able to start to add in these healthy foods she's talking about and delete some of those healthy foods and take it in what I'd like to make a little pun and say in bite-sized pieces so that you can start to make these changes in your life, these choices in your life a little bit at a time. It's not a crash anything. It's a gradual getting to the place of being able to, in fact, live healthy, prevent cognitive decline, and be able to move well at the same time. Now, many of you know that Ageless Grace is a seated movement, and it's something that you can do anywhere, in a hotel room, even in an airplane. You can do it if you have any kind of physical challenge. If you are in a wheelchair, you can do it if you're a triathlete or a cheerleader. Anybody can do Ageless Grace. It's fun, it's playful, it's simple. That's what it was designed to be, a movement form that everyone can do and that it will make a difference. Its primary purpose is to stimulate the 5 primary functions of the brain. And in fact, again, maintain your cognitive function, improve your cognitive function, and prevent any cognitive decline. And it has been tested in a number of places and has been proven to do all of those things. So when we looked at this and said, well, not only do people need to eat healthy and make healthy choices, they also need to move at the same time. We said, what could we do that would be something everybody can do? And it would be simple and that there'd be no excuses. You don't have to say, oh gosh, I couldn't get to the gym last week. Oh my goodness, it costs too much to join the YMCA. You can do this in your living room. It's simple, it's easy, it's playful, it's fun. And the good news is the physical part of this, the movement part of this really only needs to be done a minimum of 10 minutes a day. And that 10 minutes a day makes a huge difference because it's cumulative and it adds up. When you do it once or twice or 3 times a week, that's better than not at all. But when you do a tiny little bit every day, your brain function not only maintains, but starts to improve. So that's really all I'm going to say about the movement, because you will get that in the workshop if you do it on June 21st. And we'll also be giving you a handout and a couple free videos that you can access, and a Facebook page where you can support each other so that you can be able to accomplish this and feel good about the choices you're making, both in the field of nourishment and in the field of movement, which both affect your brain and both affect the quality of your life. Now, I have to say one little thing before I turn it back over to Sherry, and then we will answer questions because she's given you some wonderful statistics and a couple great words and phrases to remember. But I want to tell you this, because I said when Sherry finished this and we got our booklet together and we finished what we wanted to present in the workshop, I don't want to present this unless I'm doing it myself. And so some of you know this and some of you don't, but I would have said that I needed to lose, 7 or 8 pounds. And so it wasn't a huge thing, but it would be something I'd like to do. But I did it because I wanted to see if I see a difference in my brain function, in my sharpness, in my ability to recall, in my memory, and just the way I'm thinking and feeling in my own life. So on January 1st of this year, Sherry knows this, we talked to each other about it, that I started living on this diet as well. And I will be honest and say that I have been pretty darn adherent. And yet at the same time, here and there, because this diet does allow certain things that Sherry's going to tell you about, but it has everything to do with portion size, frequency, and how often you eat those portions and frequency each day and each week. So the good things you can have, but those good things, not necessarily good for you, need to be in a certain quantity and a certain amount of times a week. And the bad things that you take out, you want to take out, or if you have them, you want to do them and adhere to how many times a week you can have those things that are really not that good for you. So bottom line is this: I, since January 1st, feel sharper, full of life, better. And I've lost 27 pounds, not 7, but 27 pounds.
Woo-hoo!
It's amazing. I weigh the same thing I did when I was like 40. And I'm amazed because I would have told you, oh, but I'm menopausal and I'm over 60. I just had my 70th birthday on May 21st. And that's just not going to happen. Like, I should have different expectations for myself. Well, now I've changed that completely. I don't need to have different expectations. I need to make different choices. And I've learned that from this way of eating since January 1st. And of course, I've been very adherent to the movement and exercise as well. So Sherry, tell them a little bit about portion control, quantity, that type of thing.
So I want to first of all say congratulations to Denise, because I think that's amazing, and I want to kind of hone in on what she said, is that you can lose weight. So when you're eating healthy food and you're limiting processed food and high fat foods, fast food, those eating more plant-based foods, not just your brain health improves, but your whole general body. You lose weight and it lowers your risk of chronic disease. I've worked in that field of chronic disease my whole nursing career, and it's a problem for millions and millions of people. And diet is the cornerstone. And if we just change a few things in our diet and eat more plant-based and eat more of certain fruits and vegetables and nuts, and this is not going to be like something that you haven't heard before. But what it is that it's science-based, And it's really, the mind diet is a combination between the Mediterranean, which you've all heard, which is very healthy, and the DASH diet, which maybe some of you haven't heard, but the DASH diet is for people with high blood pressure. So when you're eating healthy for your brain, your body is going to respond and your cholesterol is going to be lower. Your blood pressure is going to be lower. Your heart's going to be functioning better. You're going to have less clogging of your arteries. So lower risk of stroke and heart attacks and clogging of your arteries in your legs. Your blood sugar is going to improve. So you're going to get way more benefit than just a healthy brain and protection of your brain and lower risk of Alzheimer's disease. You're going to have a lower risk of chronic disease, which is huge. So I want to commend Denise. I actually follow the Mind Diet, and I actually had to tweak mine a little bit because personally I have Crohn's disease. And so I went gluten and dairy free last July, and I have been on IV meds for 30 years. And just by changing the things that I was eating, guess what? I got off IV medication. So I tell you this because food is the most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. So really think about that. Food has such a huge, significant impact on our body and our brains. So this is so exciting. I hope you're as excited about this as we are, because it will change your lives. And we've seen it in Denise's life, and I've seen it in my life. So I can't wait to share all the information with you. But that, I just feel like such a powerful statement. Food can be poison or the best form of medicine. So I want you to think about that as you leave tonight. Just kind of digest that, because it's real. And I've seen it caring for thousands and thousands of people. I've seen it in my own life. So I hope that you'll be able to attend this course and see it for yourself.
So the other thing I'd like to say about this course that we've put together, obviously we believe in it and we've experienced it personally, but I also want to say that we've put it together in a way that would make it successful for anyone that wants to be successful. And what I mean by that, and I mentioned this earlier, is that it's a step-by-step program. We talk about that, how you can add in a little of this, add in a little of this. Maybe you don't do 10 minutes a day of Ageless Grace every day. Maybe for the first time you add in 2 days a week. Maybe delete 5 foods and add in 10 foods, but what you do is you delete 1 food that you say, I can let go of that. And you add in 2 foods that are really, really healthy, or just 1. And it's over time that you're going to develop the way to feel great at the same time that you're activating your brain and nourishing it and sustaining it, and helping your joints and your metabolism and helping your body functions like the cholesterol and the heart disease and the stroke possibilities that happen if we don't regulate what's going on in our bodies and pay attention to it. So it's not something you just have to accept. You don't have to say, gee, I'm over 50, I'm over 60, I'm over 70, and this is going to happen to me. That is not true. What happens to us has to do with our choices. It has to do with how much we move. It has to do with what's on the end of our fork. And so that's what this program is about, is helping you see what your choices are and make some healthy ones and get rid of some unhealthy ones. And what happened to me, I will tell you, I thought I was eating really, really healthy. I thought I was doing all kinds of good things, but I learned so much from the research on this diet that I was surprised at how many things I was actually doing, thinking I was doing something healthy that was not good for my brain. And when I started focusing on my brain and nothing else, like, how do I make my brain not only healthier, but start to function so that my body is healthier? Then guess what? My body got healthier by what I like to call a reset. It reset me to 40 years old. Who doesn't want to do that?
I do.
Yeah, it's been amazing how it's helped me feel, helped me function, and helped me with all of my vital statistics. I would love to open this up to questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow everyone to unmute yourselves. So now you should be able to do that. I just clicked the button that says allow participants to unmute themselves. Let's see if that's working. And I'm actually going to stop the recording as well, so that anyone who might want to ask a more private question or be concerned about being recorded, you will know that the recording is off as of right now.